Hey, welcome. Today we're going to dive into a really personal and, let's be honest, pretty fascinating approach to well-being, energetic healing. We're going to explore one practitioner's really unique intuitive gift and get into how she says it helps clear out those unseen blockages we all feel sometimes.
All right, so let me ask you this. Have you ever just felt stuck? You know that feeling? Maybe it's a tightness in your chest that won't go away, or just this sense that you're lugging around an invisible backpack full of something. Well, this explainer is all about one way of looking at and working with those exact feelings.
Okay, so if we've got these blockages, what do we do about them? Well, according to the practitioner we're focusing on today, the answer isn't something you'd find in a typical doctor's office. It all starts with what she calls a truly unique intuitive gift. And you can really feel the humility when she talks about this. She frames it as something that's just beyond her logical mind. This isn't a skill she learned in a classroom or from a book. She describes it more like a powerful current that simply moves through her. So what does that actually mean? Well, she defines it as this intuitive knack for sensing and, recalibrating information that's gotten jumbled up inside a person's energy field. You know, that unseen energy that's said to surround all of us. The two big ideas here are sensing it intuitively and then recalibrating what she finds.
I know, that probably still sounds pretty out there. But to bring it back down to earth, she uses this really cool analogy from a movie you might know. Remember that movie Lucy with Scarlett Johansson, where she unlocks 100% of her brain capacity? Well, believe it or not, that sci-fi flick actually gives us a pretty solid way to wrap our heads around how this practitioner's gift works.
Okay, and this is where the comparison gets really interesting. In the film, Lucy is consciously going out and grabbing specific bits of information to manipulate things. The energetic gift is kind of like that, but with one huge difference. It's not a conscious, deliberate search. Instead, it's described as this intuitive flow that just finds the misplaced information and helps clear the jam. All right, so let's stick with that idea for a second. If we're talking about recalibrating, what does that process even look like? What is actually going on inside that energy field?
So the whole practice really hinges on this one core belief, that at our most basic level, we are energy, and that all our experiences, our thoughts, our emotions, all that stuff gets stored as information within our own personal energy field.
And this right here, this is the absolute heart of the work. The idea is that life happens, right? And sometimes bits of that information get put in the wrong place, creating a sort of energetic clutter. Her job, as she describes it, is to find that misplaced information and gently guide it back to where it's supposed to be.
So how does she do it? Well, it's basically a four-step process. First, she does an intuitive scan to find those blockages. Then, she gets to work recalibrating and rearranging that stuck info. The whole point, the end goal, is to get a person's natural energy flowing freely again. And she says it's a subtle thing that works in layers, sometimes going deep enough to address patterns she believes are held all the way down at the DNA level.
Okay, that's the how, but what about the what? How does all this energy talk connect to real-life stuff? What do these blockages actually feel like for you and me?
Well, a lot of the time, they don't just stay in some invisible realm. The idea is that these energetic knots can actually manifest as physical feelings we all know. That random pressure, a tightness in your throat, or those aches and pains that seem to come out of nowhere.
And wow, when you look at what this work aims to address, it's a lot. It covers everything from deep emotional trauma and just feeling completely burned out, to getting stuck in loops of anxiety or repeating the same toxic relationship patterns over and over. The big idea is that maybe, just maybe, all these different struggles have an energetic root that can be worked with.
So let's talk about the end game here. What's supposed to happen after all this recalibrating? What does that path to release actually look like?
Now, this is super important. It's not some magic pill. The practitioner is really clear that the results are totally different for every single person. A huge part of it comes down to you, how open you are to the process, and how in tune you are with what's going on in your own body and your own energy.
I just love this next quote, because it really gets to the heart of it. It's not about bulldozing through the darkness, it's about turning on a small light so you can see what's there. It's about bringing awareness to the parts of ourselves that we might have hidden away, even from our own conscious minds.
So really, at the end of the day, this isn't presented as some massive, dramatic transformation. It's really framed as a gentle offering of support, creating the space for your own healing to happen naturally.
Ultimately, it all comes down to this simple offering. An offering of light, to help out in those places inside us where it hurts, where things feel way too heavy, and where it just feels a little too dark.
And that brings us to the end of our explainer, and to a final question for you. After hearing all this, after thinking about stuck information and hidden blockages, just think about it for a second. Where in your own life could your energy use a little recalibrating?